Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to PCM21 Career Mode. We're on episode number 90. It's Dwars Vlaanderen, and there's a couple things happening here. First off, this is the baby Tour of Flanders across Flanders. It's not the monument, it's not the Ronde, but it's still a big race on the calendar. And because we didn't get into very many World Tour races this season, which is odd because a year ago we got a good number of them and we were first in the Continental, but we sat out the Continental races. So after sitting most of them out last year and just doing those World Tour races, we ended up second. Top three are all supposed to get a significant number of invites, and this year we're just not getting them. We're getting a decent number of invites, but nowhere near what we should be getting. But anyway, what we have going on at the same time is, even though I've been doing the channel for quite a few years now, and I picked up a fairly decent microphone about a month into doing the channel. That was the first thing I kind of invested in because it was very clear that the audio was terrible prior to that. And this microphone is just nearing the end of its life. So I've already recorded this and then had a problem with the microphone, so I've had to go back and re-record. At least this time I'm getting the video portion of this right to where I can re-overlay it over top of the voiceover that I did live while playing. But anyway, let's get into the race. I've already proceeded pretty quickly into this one as we're going forward and slowed it back down now. This is a race that's possible. It has possibilities for us because the cobbled sectors aren't too bad, but it's not easy. I have a team that is built for classics without being able to win sprints, or I have a team that's kind of built for punchiness but really not diversified in anything else, or I have a team that can sprint and definitely is not good at classics. Well, looking at the profile here and not having too many cobbled sectors, I've opted to try to support the sprinters. That's our best chance of getting a good result. And this is actually a really important race for us because early in the season, I skipped through all of the early objectives and we failed, like all of them. So our sponsor confidence was next to nothing about 2 weeks ago. Little run of good form, and suddenly I find myself in a much better situation, and this is one of our two largest objectives of the entire year. If we succeed here, then we're set. We'll get our 100% evaluation. Total failure, yeah, maybe not. The objective, top 5. Partial failure would be top 10, and that would probably be just about okay. So main thing is, let's see if we at least get a top 10 and maybe can do a little bit better. And ultimately, because of only about 6 cobbled sectors and not a lot of climbing here, I'm trying to ride for our sprinters. Martin Guerrero is here as a pure domestique. I'm down to a number of guys that are fairly fatigued now. The Peloton is getting smaller and smaller, but the tempo is really high. A lot of my guys just don't have great flat ratings, or my sprinters definitely not good for climbs like this one here late on. But this is the last of the harder climbs of the day, and at least at the moment, we're hanging on. We're drifting back a little bit, but we're hanging on. We're doing okay.
Watch out! A team leader is falling behind.
Now, overall race day condition, not great. There's definitely some red out there, but it's enough. Galvez, if he had a positive race day condition, we might be able to do something with him a little more so, especially as the top cobble guy, but we're really kind of forced into that ride for the sprinters thing. Kalnin's +3 definitely gives us a chance at getting a result if we can get him through all the cobbled sectors. Now, half of those are already behind us, but here comes the next set. We begin with a 3-star sector. At 1.5K, it's definitely not the easiest sector that we're going to see. But the pace right now, not bad. We've already caught the breakaway. And, there's a big crash. Bernotas. Okay, so Bernotas is my top lead-out rider. That's going to hurt our chances a little bit as we lose him. And he's got a handful of riders that have gone down with him as well. Michael Matthews was among them. Let's see. Garcia Cortina among them. Godin. Ballerini. I mean, there are some good riders that even if they regain contact here with 23K to go, it's going to take everything out of their legs. You could pretty much write off that entire group. It hurts that we lose Bernotas, but at least it's not our lead guy, right? At least it's the second one, and we still have okay lead out otherwise, but we're definitely down one rider, and we have some fatigue in the legs, especially of the domestiques for the day. And you can definitely see Bernotas and some of these guys, you can see them charging through the field here. They're making progress, but they're definitely behind. Velens and a small group attacking. This is dangerous, but I don't know if I have the strength to necessarily chase this all down. I'm not the strong team here. We are just hoping for a result. So let's see if the field can do its job and keep these guys close. But there is a small group that have escaped off the front at this point. The good news is they're not terribly well organized right now. We're starting to pull them back. Pulled back most of them. 2 riders left off the front. But this chase, there's 11K to go. You can now see that we're really getting stretched thin. Caldens, our leader, is quite tired, and all the guys who could potentially lead him out are quite tired. You go through this little hill, and here comes another attack. I really want to respond. It's 9K to go now. Bernotas is definitely too far back. He's going to be out of this thing. But what to do with these other guys? How do I respond on this one? It's time. I mean, we have to. This group is going to right away. I have enough riders here. We don't have a lot of energy, but we've got to try to do something with what we do have. We're already looking at a good position, but if we're going to finish top 5, there's got to be at least some sort of response. Kalnins, the lead out rider has to be Sato. Sato was going to be the lead out of Bernotas, with Bernotas being the proper lead out rider, but we definitely have to switch the order on that one. Martin Guerrero was going to be a domestique, but he's hanging in there better than all other guys. That +3 really helping him out, so he's going to have to go ahead of him. And Galvez, who would have been higher up the order, we're just kind of forcing guys to move up. And Wakira, who is leading, Galvez not getting on his wheel very well. So while I could and should be chasing as we go through this final cobbled sector, we're too far back. We are too far back, and this is hurting. And a group of 6 have now properly escaped. Wakira has nothing in the tank, Galvez has nothing in the tank, and we have 5 kilometers to go. Can we chase this down? My gut says this is not looking good. This is really not looking good. Akira, he's out. He's got nothing. Galvez, can he gain some ground? It's only 4K, and those guys have a healthy gap. One of them off the back, and you can see those front 5 are pushing hard with 3K to go, which means they still have something left in the tank. And meanwhile, we don't really have. Martin Guerrero, we've got to chase, but he can't sprint. We got to go 99. Will we have anything left? Okay, from here we sprint. We're inside the final 2K. We are at the front. We're well positioned, but we're not going to catch those 6. We're not going to catch them. This is now a race for 7th. Caldens starts his sprint inside the final kilometer. One more corner. Tim Velens is already crossed line. He's already won. All we can do right now is hope we can beat this group. Soren Kragh Anderson takes 2nd. And we will get best of the rest, but that's only for 7th place. So really unfortunate that those front 6 were able to attack and keep it going all the way to the line, where we had guys with just that little bit of energy left, and we were able to push, and we were able to get best of the rest. We were able to win a sprint, but we just didn't have anything in the tank to chase those 6 down and contend for the win overall. But 7th is not bad. Technically, it's a failure, but it's only a partial failure, as we needed a top 5. A top 10 should just about do it to cover us off. Minimal loss, if anything, in terms of the sponsor evaluation, and that's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And we move forward to Paris-Roubaix, our only monument of the first part of this season. I don't know if we're going to have Il Lombardia at the end of the season or not, but of the first 4 monuments, this is it. That is how bad our invite rate has been this season. It sucks. It sucks big time. Well, anyway, we are already into the cobbled sectors. So let's focus in on this race now. First off, in previous seasons, we have Galvez, and then we have everybody else. So all of our hopes and dreams always on how Galvez is, how his form is. Now, when he had a +4, +5 at a classic, he did okay. He did decently well. If he had anything else, if he had +2 or less, especially if he had a negative race day condition, things went horribly wrong. And Paris-Roubaix is one place where we have really, really struggled in these first couple of times that he did it. I think we had maybe 3 times total that we had been at Paris-Roubaix. We had finished outside of the top 50 with everybody outside of the top 100. And then we've had, I think, our best finish somewhere around 35th to 40th. That's it. Now, we were unlucky one time where we had a puncture by Galvez, and he recovered decently well to finish top 60, maybe. And the entire rest of the team, everybody else that was there, was probably outside of the top 135. Most of them outside of the top 150, very much at the very, very back of the field. But now, I have 4 Classics riders, but we still don't have quality, and Paris-Roubaix is still absurdly hard. Galvez, our best, well, it's not looking good. Galvez has a -2. Hamadovic, -2. Wakira, -1. Berggren is our only Classics rider, and he is the weakest of the 4 that ended up with a positive race day condition. And you can see, despite that, and despite the effort, despite going in 81 and then in 84, he was still falling back. He is, even though he's got that +2, he's still a little bit weaker than these other guys as classic riders. He's the one who should be supporting them. But with the race day condition the way it is, our chances today are minimal. My goal, my hopes, is that we finally crack the top 25. How we're going to do that, I don't know. We're about to enter the Forest of Ehrenberg, so it's definitely time that we retool, reassess our domestiques. Martin Guerrero, Luxi's already long gone. You can see Bernotas has nothing left in the tank, so we're down to the 4 Classics guys, and we're going to get 2 to protect 2 that we're going to protect. Galvez, obviously he's the strongest, even though he has a -2. And then Berggren, because he's the only one with a positive race day condition. That little boost just makes him a little bit stronger than those guys who were naturally stronger than him, but weaker on the day thanks to the race day condition. So we at least get through Forest of Ehrenberg, still in one piece, and the Peloton's already yo-yoing to under 50, up to about 80 riders. We have a breakaway of 17. They still have a little bit of a gap, but it's inside a minute now, so they're not going to be ahead much longer. And at the moment anyway, the Peloton yo-yoing now to about 60 riders, give or take. Group getting smaller and smaller because of the tempo. You can see Hamadovic already. He's fading to nothing. He's going to slip off the back here fairly quickly because you hit these big, hard cobbled sectors without energy. You go back fast. So survival's the big thing. And you can see how quickly our guys are going backwards because they're just not as strong. Hamadovic just flew out the back of that Peloton. And you can see Berggren, again, 87 effort, and yet he is slipping right to the back of the Peloton already. So you can't afford to really sit up and conserve. But at the same time, if you ride hard to try to stay up, you're going to run out of energy. So it's It's a slippery slope on trying to survive. But we have a peloton now of 57 as we've caught the 17 breakaway riders, so it's 40 plus 17. You figure those 17 are going to go backwards pretty quick. The problem is we are at the back of the peloton, and I'm down to just 3 riders, and looking at them, Wakira, toast. Galvez, barely anything left in the tank, and Berggren, who is struggling the most out of those 4 classic riders, has the best energy because of the race day condition. And so he keeps struggling, but here he is. Wakira, gone. Wakira's out the back. We're down to 45. At the moment, we're seeing a split. Berggren again getting split off the back. And while I should be riding for Galvez, the first one to run out of energy. So you can see he's already getting dropped from the group, and Berggren is coming right back at him. So Berggren catching up to Galvez, and there's my 2 guys. Berggren struggling on the cobbles, but has better energy usage rates today. And 20 riders went off the front, and here we are with 4 and 11 off the back. Our chances of top 25 at this point, so slim. Berggren's got nothing. He's down to nothing. Galvez already got dropped. All we can really hope for at this point, we're going to get water that final time and just try to hang on. There's no point doing anything other than just trying to ride for survival. And survival it is. Survival we aim for. Survival is the target. But how long can we survive like this? I don't know. We just got split off again. So now the group just split in half with the 4 guys who had a little bit of energy riding on up ahead, trying to recover their position, get back with the top 20. They're a minute behind, and we're another half minute behind that. So we've already fallen well off the front. And this group of 7, you can see Berggren just barely hanging on to the back end of it. You can see there's quite a few guys in the group that are fatigued, but they seem to have better flat ratings than Berggren does, as even in the flat sector in between the cobbles, he just struggles to hang on to the back. And it looks like the group's about to split again, and it does. It does. Now we're in the tail end of 2, so we're looking at 30 plus riders up the road, and the next group behind us has already caught up to us. So top 25, not going to happen. Unfortunately, Galvez, who was in the group behind, well, he got dropped again. So Galvez, it would be really helpful if we had Galvez and Berggren together, so we could at least try to support one of them and sacrifice the other, giving them a little boost. But even that's not happening. And now we've had another 5 riders leave us behind and head on up the road. So now I think the top 30 or even 35 is out of reach with 40k to go. Still looking strong for a top 50 at least, and a natural top 50 with our strong guy on a negative race day condition, and our weak guy, the one who's earning his way into a top 50, but there's just no luck, really. Poor luck for us, but of course part of that's on me. Not one of these riders, not one of them has this as their objective. And we did target this in a previous couple of seasons, but we had bad luck in those, right? Galvez and his puncture, especially last year, that really hurt. He had decent race day condition, and he had the objective, and he had a fitness peak, but his race day condition wasn't as good. I think he had about a +2, maybe. But then he had the puncture. Puncture really cost him. He worked his way back up the field carefully and finished about where Berggren is right now in the field. But this year, he's got a -2. So, good race day condition versus bad race day condition. You can see the real difference in a rider like that. But Berggren, even with the positive, isn't as good as Galvez normally is, even when he's on a 0. We get dropped again, so that's going to cost us a few more places, 3 more riders riding away from us. Our survival mode just not going so well. We are getting right down to the end, though, as we go through our last difficult sector. And this time, at least,
Only 15 kilometers left.
our ability, helped push us forward. We left a few of those guys behind. See, they immediately come back to us on the flat. So on the cobbles, compared to these guys around us, we're okay. They have a lot better flat rating than we do. Can we hang on? No, a couple riders leave us behind again. And we're getting awfully close to that velodrome, but we're very much down around 40th place overall. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for a time where these 4 guys, where 2 or 3 of them, level up once or twice. And that little bit more is going to make us that much stronger. As much as we are now getting to the stage where we can be competitive, there's a huge difference between being competitive in a classic versus being competitive at Paris-Roubaix. The hell of the North, the ultimate classic. For me, hands down, this is the monument of monuments. There's a massive gap between all the others and this. Ronde van Vlaanderen, it's up there, but it's not Paris-Roubaix. As we sprint for the finish, how high will we get? We almost catch a couple riders just ahead of us there, but we didn't quite get to them. We had about 4 guys there that we nearly caught up to, and yeah, not a great finish. Not a great finish. Was the top 40 at least. Galvez, 56th, and 4 riders in the top 77. That's a huge gap. That's a huge difference from where we were. And that's that sign of we're getting competitive. But that's also where we belong. That is where we belong right now. Galvez should have been about in this place or maybe a few spots higher, but that negative race day condition knocks him down a peg. Berggren goes a little higher than he should have been because he had good race day condition. But Wakira, Hamadovic, pretty much right where they belong. Us as a team, right where we belong. But ultimately, it's a step in the right direction, but we still have a long ways to go when it comes to the classics. But at least we are progressing. Asgreen, Seneschal take the 1-2. And my goal is someday get competitive here. But we are a team, because of the nations that are available to us, that will never have proper classics riders. So how good will we get will always depend on getting results in the minor classics or the more minor monuments. And I don't think we're ever going to win Paris-Roubaix. But my dream is one day crack the top 10. Or at least the top 25. I think the top 25 is closer than you think. I think the top 10 is still a pipe dream. But here's to dreaming. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.